Okay, we are back and we are now into the 300s. This is Project 301 and this is a little bit of a weird, shiny looking boy. 301. It looks interesting, definitely, but it does look very out of place. And even just the shiny little glare that we're getting on the surface here makes me a little bit concerned. Also, this looks to be like a return of the little angry mouse monster like looking buildings. You see these little feet here, little teeth. So let's see. I like the sketch. It's funny actually because when I look at the 3D model view, it sort of makes me wish the building was this sort of fabric-like tensile structure. Instead, it's this big shiny aluminium or metallic looking thing. A four-story museum building is a combination of large, inverse, intersecting cylindrical shapes. It'd be nice to see a diagram though of how that works. So again, like it's just another 3D image of the same thing. I don't know, like I kind of like it, but I don't think it's sort of appropriate for the site. I don't think it's a winner. I don't think it's like an amazing piece of architecture, but it is interesting. It's sort of like it's sort of like this sort of broken, disrupted shell that has all these different folds and twists and cuts. My problem with it is that the openings and the sort of geometry in general just feels incredibly arbitrary and random. And that's what I meant when I said it would be nice to see like a diagram or something. So let's see. Interior. And again, I mean, I understand the lobby is the lobby. You got to show an interior of the lobby. But if you're gonna design something like this, and the lobby's the first space that you're gonna be in, it would be nice to sort of feel like you're kind of in something that feels part of the same building in a way. I've talked about this so much, and I complain about it a lot, and I don't really mean it to be a complaint. It's just more. I just feel like the inside of the building doesn't have to match the outside of the building, but it would be nice to feel as if it's almost the same hand of the architect at work. Like it doesn't feel like it's been designed by two different companies or two different practices. And what I mean by that is that this just doesn't, I mean, this could be in anything, whereas this is quite unique. But this is just sort of a lobby at the end of the day. And it's fine. Like, it's just, I don't know, do we have a fifth page? Okay, this is interesting. So it's actually funny how few of these little sectional cutaway drawings that I've seen in the competition so far, because they're extremely useful, especially in showing how the facade and the outside works with the inside. So the feature roof has a primary structure of steel circular hollow sections in double curvature with timber tensile grid infills to form the inverted domes. It just feels a little bit complicated. So architects, if you're watching this, I like your project. Like I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. It just maybe it's my tiny little architecture lizard brain can't really comprehend the greatness of what you've designed. I don't know, and I mean that genuinely. Like at the end of the day, I'm not an expert, but I just kind of don't. I think it looks a bit complicated and fussy, in my opinion. Again, another example of using like these blockbuster references on the same page as your own project. It's not a problem to obviously be inspired by these famous projects, but it is sort of you sort of are operating at a disadvantage in that it's natural then for someone to compare your project to one of the big most famous projects in the world like the Guggenheim or Casa de Musica or the Munich Olympic Stadium. As an architect, though, which is what's funny, is when I saw this, those references all came to mind. So I don't know what that has. What does that mean? I don't know. I think that's the last project. Look, I think it's cool. Not in love with the way in which the sort of interior plays with the exterior. I understand that there's a technical logic to it explained in this page. Unfortunately, I just don't think this can win, or I don't think it will be shortlisted. But in terms of presentation, I think it's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's good. It's always nice to see drawings like this too. Not enough of those. So, having said that, I'm going to move it along. But what's the name of the project? Stark Shona. Yeah, I think it's cool. I don't know if it's strong enough to go all the way. So moving it along, 302, Waves in the Archipelagos. This is quite interesting. So, first of all, I absolutely love, I love the style of this presentation. I think it's very clever. The way in which the drawings and the images have sort of been put together as part of, a booklet for the museum. I love that. And then it almost looks like it's just been photographed, which I also love. This presentation is quite cool in that it reminds me of when I was a student and I'd visit the library and I'd look at old architecture journals. I have no idea if that was the intent here. That's just what I'm taking away from it. So that's one thing. Okay, so that's awesome. Second thing, sketches. Sketches. Unbelievable sketches. Love it. I've talked quite a lot about why I love sketches so much, and I think I'm just going to stand by it. A sketch like this allows me to add my own sort of interpretation to it, whereas a top-notch, photorealistic architectural visualization, it's almost like you're telling me what something is, whereas I look at a sketch like this and then I'm sort of seeing what it is, and I know a lot of that is dependent on an individual's ability to kind of, I don't know, use their imagination or fill in the gaps or to kind of understand the subtlety of a sketch. But it's just how I like to look at work. But having said that, I'm looking at this now and I'm sort of like, what's going on up here? What is that? This is amazing. This looks really cool. But what I will do is actually look at the architecture that is on display. So, Waves in the Archipelago. The AD Museum welcomes the newcomer, illuminated and warmed by the southwestern sun. The museum building consists of a 3-story gallery, bookstore, library, part A, and 4-story, part B. The ancillary activities of the museum are placed in part B. A and B, it's all cool. A and B. So B at the back, A at the front. Yeah, it's got this kind of mullet organizational system here. We got the party at the front. No. Business at the front, party at the back. How does a mullet work? Anyway, I'm going all over the place here. I like the balloon. I also like, from what I can see here, this kind of playfulness with the way the facade works, where it looks like we have this sort of rain screen facade, and then there is like this really playful, shapy lining in behind that, with these openings cut through it, which I think is really cool. Yeah, parts A, parts B, museum, the great city room, and the landmarks. Again, sketch is cool. And 5 earlier sketches. Okay, and this is quite low resolution as well, and I've dinged other projects for low resolution images, so I have to be consistent. Here is my takeaway. Super fun, super playful, really clever presentation. The architecture itself looks exciting, but there's almost not enough in just these 5 pages for me to be confident to say that I think it's going to go all the way to the final 5. So what are my takeaways here? Sketches, brilliant. A little bit of the colored pencil, brilliant. Diagrams, sketches, all very good. Style of the presentation overall, very good. So I really like this project. So 302, 302, I'm a big fan. Moving along. 303, Logos Architect. Big building blocks. Yep. Yep. I see this, and then I see this. Yep. Yep. Personally, I'm not a fan of museums that work or are designed to work vertically. I just don't think museums work well that way, in my opinion. But let's try and look at what is here. So, iconic waterfront museum, designed to stand as a beacon of light, like a lighthouse. The museum stands tall with confidence, prominence, and energy. I don't know if it is standing that confidently. This looks like it could be knocked over, but sorry, I'll take it seriously here. The museum is envisioned as more than just a museum. It serves as a social condenser, fostering community interaction, civic engagement. Inspired by the simplicity of a child's toy blocks, evokes a sense of playful creativity, avoiding the rigid and boring, but fostering an open and delightful experience. Okay, I think conceptually, that's all fine and valid. I think my issue with this one is sort of what we end up with. And I think what's here, frankly speaking, it's too big. It's too tall. It's completely sort of out of place from everything that is around it. You already have the waterfront, so you really don't need to take this space in the skyline, in my opinion. That's just my takeaway. Like, people will see your building. Like, you don't need to make it any bigger than that. I also wonder, because I've seen quite a few projects that have managed to fill out the brief with this. So what is the requirement for this and this? I mean, the concept, the idea of a child's toy block arrangement is still valid without these two bits. So really my takeaway is it's these two bits here, these two blocks, that are the problem. Yeah, someone needs to limit this kid's creativity, I think. They're building it too tall. Sorry, kid. And then, yeah, we have these little sort of loose openings. The sort of looks like some type of perforated masonry. No windows at all, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, we'll get to page 5. I'm seeing the references here. Maybe that's fair, not fair. Oh, no, okay. Well, it does remind me a little bit of the Sana Museum in, I think it's in Brooklyn. Does the stacked block thing, stacked white block thing. But I don't even, the twistiness of this, like, how does it work? Like, what is this little ledge up here? Sorry, I'm spending quite a lot of time on this. I think the project is interesting. I just think it's not executed well. And it really comes down to just the tower element, which I just don't think is necessary for a museum, because I just don't think museums work well that way. So, how do I summarize this? Interior is very good. Presentation generally is very good. I mean, this is a powerful page. Yep. This, yep, got it, nailed it. Didn't need this in a way, Sky Cafe, that's what's at the top of cafe. It's just boring. Okay, so I like this. I think it's cool, but I don't think it's practical. I can't see it really working. I don't think it will win. So that's sort of my takeaway from it. But an interesting project nonetheless. So logos, I would have called it Legos. On we go. Next one. Marin Pinot. This looks kind of cute. Amazing image here. Little boat. I think it's a boat. A stack of rocks in the sea. The concept was inspired by the surrounding archipelago of Helsinki. The form is influenced by the expressiveness and playfulness of the experiential history of design and architecture. All of this generates an iconic and memorable form, contributing to Helsinki's global individuality. The roof forms allow a variety of atmospheres and heights for the gallery spaces. I do like the sort of profile of this project. I love the little silhouette. It's quite cool. But I was thinking, I mean, sorry, it's just the image here. This was making me think more of like a cruise ship or a cruise liner than a collection of rocks. But let's see. I love this little swoop. I like this. And I like that. This looks really nice. I sort of like the sort of subdued quality of the image as well. It's not that it's gloomy. It's just a little bit like, I don't know, it's quite chill. It's quite a peaceful image to look at. I like the arrangement of these openings here. I like the ground floor. Maybe I would prefer if this was a bit taller, maybe, but I'm not the architect. Interior looks very, very nice. Now, this is an example of an interior, again, that sort of works well with the exterior. This to this just sort of is like, yep, got it, makes sense. Very nice interior as well. The quality of the image is very good, very clear. I can read the architecture very well, very clearly. It's nice. This page looks very interesting. These are fantastic images. Big fan of this. The massing and form of the museum is inspired by the surrounding small islands. I'm still not 100% sure that that's... Not that it's not relevant, I don't know. I think this project already looks like it's quite good, with or without the reference. So is that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Okay, so that's 5 pages. I like this. I want to see more of it. I think it's cute. I think it's playful. I think it's pretty chill. I think it's creative. I'm intrigued. I'd like to see what it's made of. Concrete boxes, expressive roof form. I'd like to know what the cladding is. I mean, this is an interesting way of putting together a mood board for sure. I'd like to know what this is on the outside. Looks like stone. It's a little bit less interesting in a way. Not that I have anything against stone. I just I would prefer it if it was some type of shingle or tiny little bit of something. Does it say here? Ah, it does. Structural concrete, wooden interior, created and sourced locally from recycled aggregate and locally cut timber. The materials of the exterior and interior represent sustainable resiliency. The concrete on the exterior will patina through the sub-zero temperatures, rain, snow, and sea. Okay, well, at least it's considered. So overall, I like this. I like this guy. So really cool project. Marion Pino, really like this. Very nice. Moving on. 304? Not sure. Wow, okay, this is a vibrant image. Northern Beacon, the Helsinki Design Museum Project. Northern Beacon, the Helsinki Design Museum Project. The conceptual design for the Museum of Architecture and Design in Helsinki showcases a modern multi-tiered structure. It's a lot of text on this page. Perspective on this image looks a bit funky. And in this one, it's a bit funky as well. These are all look to be AI generated, which is not generally a massive problem for me now, as I've reached the sort of middle chunk of this competition. But I mean, this is AI generated as well, and it's quite poor, I think. Just the technical execution of the image, like the horizon line is just way too high from a compositional point of view, but that's just my taste. Yeah, it's a mix of different things. It's a bit weird. Nah, I'm not a fan of this one. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of constructive criticism for this one either. I'm just not generally a fan of the 5 images that I've seen. So I'm gonna move it along. Northern Beacon. Sculpt. This guy looks like a little pentagon looking boy, but he's sort of twisty, sitting upright. Just text on this page, might come back to it. It's a bit of an empty image. It's funny. Or this sort of looks absolutely nothing like this. Well, it does in some ways and does not in other ways, but this is a nice image. I mean, there's not a lot of information in this one, so I guess I have no choice but to look at the text. The project presents a monolithic and sculptural architectural solution characterized by a distinctive diagonal slit that integrates dynamic terraces into the design. Upon entering the museum, visitors are greeted by a low, almost pressing lobby. I just think it's sort of lacking a lot of information, even just in these 5 pages. I understand there's more to the submission, maybe it's covered there, but just for me, like what's this little green garden up here? What is it made out of? Is it made out of white? This is what it's made out of, vertical ceramic tiles. That's not that bad. Maybe, I don't know. Tiles. It's fine, I guess. I just think I need to be sold harder in 5 images, and this looks fine, but not anything extremely special or standout. So I'm gonna have to just move it along. Sculpt. I think the project's fine. I just don't have an awful lot to say about it. Next one, we need a flower. I've seen a couple of flower projects so far, but I don't think we do need a flower. Interior gives me absolutely nothing of this vibe whatsoever. It looks sharp, it looks defensive, it looks a little bit unfriendly. Reminds me a little bit of like a Super Mario castle or something. Like it looks like Bowser's castle. And there it is lit up at night. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm trying to offer constructive criticism of it. But I sort of just wish your project was this little round bit at the bottom, because that looks quite nice and elegant. Just make it all work in that, and then just don't worry about this. Genesis of form. The circle, which I like. Basic form that represents nature. Nature, horizontal development. From the combination of culture and nature comes out the flower. I'm not really convinced. Although there does seem to be a decent level of technical understanding of how your project would work, it's just not quite selling itself to me. And that's just my taste. That's just my takeaway. And the interior isn't helping at all. Because if I see something that looks like this, I sort of want to see the key space. I mean, I understand the lobby. You have to do the lobby, but it just doesn't feel like anything like this. So, gonna move it along. We need a flower. Yeah, gonna move it along. Ah, the forest. This looks quite nice. This little white bar is standing out to me though. It's sort of annoying me. Interior. Another little bit of a high horizon line. You should not be able to go from home to work without passing through a forest. My boy, Alvar Aldo. These images are great, but they're a bit small. I sort of just wish the whole page was just these, because I don't know if it's a physical model or not, but it looks quite cool. I kind of like this. I sort of just, I'm being so annoying. It's just the thickness of this thing is really irritating me. I almost wish these little delicate columns could all just sort of meet the ground. I think that's the thing that irritates me about it. Because then when I look in here, it looks like we've got some of the gallery spaces. They're kind of like floating and suspended inside this sort of, kind of, I don't know, screen of columns. This like little light thin slab up here is quite cool. Parts of this project I like, other parts not so much. I mean, now we have the giant shared stair that's just taking up the entire footprint, which I've talked about at length in other videos. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I just think it's like, it's not very nice to sort of be in here with all these just sort of random columns placed around. I don't know. I mean, the roof has to be supported somehow, but this just seems like you've created this giant shared public space and then you're disrupting it with columns everywhere. Maybe it wouldn't be as bad as I think. I'm not so sure. Alto vase. Sketches are great. I mean, this is sort of the. Sorry, I hate to be that type of architect, but this is sort of the key image for me, which I really love. I understand that there's a reference to forest and trees, but like then these should be timber at least, right? I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, this doesn't feel like a forest. I understand that there's a tree here, but it doesn't feel like a forest. It sort of feels like an airport a little bit. Actually, that brings me to shout out to a comment I got on Instagram recently, actually, which I want to read out here. So I got a really good comment on Instagram, and I have no idea if it was directed to me or not. I know it was underneath my video, but let's see what we got here. In descending order. No, shut up, Cal. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so I got this really cool comment from an account called, I think it's Time Image. A prominent professor emeritus of architecture history, Wilhelm Hollander, made the point that it's often easy to spot the non-Finnish entries because they insist in reintroducing the forest into Helsinki. In a country of 75% forest, Finnish architects are trying to examine such prominent Helsinki site in terms of urbanism. For sure, in recent times, architecture has become more like landscape, but the sight of spindly birch trees on the Helsinki seafront is maddening. The thought process seems to be Finland must fulfill its identity as a forest. I just wanted to give a shout out to that comment because I haven't replied to it yet on my account, but it did remind me that, yeah, quite a lot of entries and submissions are sort of almost adding a forest to the site. And as someone who's obviously not Finnish, that's not for me to say whether that's appropriate for a Finnish project or not. But so sorry, I guess the forest, your project, I didn't mean to sort of call you out there. I just know that we've seen quite a few projects like this, and this reminded me to give that comment a shout out because it's good to just get other opinions here. So when I come back to really what triggered that is that like this just doesn't feel like a forest. It's just a lot of metal columns. Like if you hit it too, I bet it's got like that weird echo in it. It's just probably not that nice. No. So, yeah, but this sketch, fantastic. These sketches, fantastic. I don't like this little dude, but that's just me. This sketch, fantastic. Sketch is amazing. Conceptually, it's really interesting. Again, the metaphor, the name of the project, that's up for debate. As to whether or not that's appropriate for this site, I don't know. There are a lot of good ideas in this project. Ultimately, I think the issue is it's the CGI, really. It's the CGI view is giving away too much detail. Like I mentioned earlier, it can become a problem. So, yeah, like the project though. I'm gonna move it along. So this is Entwine. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Entwine. This looks awesome, just from what I can see here so far. But I'll be consistent. Shout out to the green roof. But this looks really nice. So let's see what we got here. Entwine elevates architecture and design as a civic activity, making them a key element of the city. Image is really cool. I have not seen an image from this point of view yet, but I'm not sure where these trees are. Not sure. Yeah, cool images though, for sure. I don't know, there's something about this that I dislike. I mean, maybe I'm being unfair, but I do see the alto vase reference in this. But this just looks kind of cool and funky. There's something like, I like the way that the surface of the facade is sort of abstractly reflecting the context around it, and it's giving this really lovely tone and texture to the building, especially here. I think that's really cool. Yeah, interior, very, very good image. Bit dark. The coffered ceiling, though, looks fantastic. Seeing the view from up above is very good. Sketches here are real good. The way in which, I mean, even if it's through the sketch, the external profile translates to the interior space. A little swoopy boy, which is really good. I really like this project, Entwine. Hopefully I come back and talk about this a little bit further, but just conscious of time. So I think the best thing I can say about this is that I want to look at this in more detail, but I'm a big fan. I like it. Flow, function, flexibility. Civic, sustainable, sensitive. It's funny how the right words can sometimes work. Sketch is amazing, image is amazing, interior is amazing. But I don't know if it's the best. I don't know if it's a top 5 potential in the context of the competition or even in the context of my own 100 top 5s. But let's see. So Entwine, I hope to come back and talk about you some more. Turmalinen. This looks fussy. 3 green roofs, lots of different shapes and bits. Looks a bit pink. Finnish design legacy. Connection to city and Finnish heritage. Concave convex. The design loop. light around a curved form. It looks a little bit better. It's nice seeing a bit of a, I guess it's really just the scale, like the modular scale of the tiles or the ceramics here sort of breaking up the volume a little bit in a way. Gives it that little bit of a human scale. I also like the style of this image. It's a bit painterly or a bit sketchy, which is quite cool. Okay, this interior's funky. Like, I like it as an exercise in sort of designing space. It's interesting for sure. But the technical resolution of it, even just from this image, it's not upsetting me. I'm noticing it, like what's happening here in relation to here, what's happening here in relation to here. This looks okay. Like, how does this relate to this? What is this edge? I know I'm sounding like I'm being really pedantic, but it's like if you're going to create this sort of interior that's like this fluid, sculpted, abstract space, the visibility of the sort of joints and the details can make it or break it. So that's just a small little thing just that I'm seeing in this image, although it's interesting. This sort of display case looks fantastic. I like that a lot. Reference page. Yeah, like, because this space is so exciting, even in plan, it looks really nice. More than just a building, a celebration. Okay, where am I coming down on this? I think this is an interesting project, spatially and conceptually. My biggest question for it as a submission that hopes to be built someday is really how you technically resolve these large, ambitious architectural ideas. And that's why there is a big question mark for me on this project. So that's all I will say about it for now. So I'm gonna move it along. Glockham. This looks a bit weird. Although these images are nice, I don't know if I like what's actually there. Looks like a little hedgehog. Sorry, when I say things look like things, I know that's quite a really low level of criticism. It's just sometimes it reminds me of things, I don't know. So this project celebrates the joy of creating, divided into 3 levels. The structure is based on a 5x5 grid. The roof mimics the shell of the lagoon cockle, creating a flowing and powerful character for the building. Looks a bit like a computer mouse. Just a wee. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound rude. It's not for me. There's something very sci-fi about this. You know, like a sort of villain spaceship of a science fiction film. Just it looks very intimidating. What's going on here with the texture surface? And then the CGI interior image is so dark, it doesn't offer a lot. I don't know, is this a real tree? The tree's holding up the roof? I don't know. But it is what it is. So Glockham, not the biggest fan of this one. I'm going to move it along. Sea and the City. This is quite an interesting looking page. At first glance, it looks like there's a lot of ideas being juggled here in this one, but let's get into it. I love this photographs of the sketchbooks. I arrive early at the Victoria and Albert Museum for some present shopping and to meet a friend. Weather permitting, I sit outside in the John Majeski garden and watch the children splash in the pool. Seems like sort of like a personal anecdote. My approach to this building was to create an organic collection of components inspired by the seascape. A glass elevation on the ground floor that houses displays. Jellyfish inspired the great curved glass roof over the entrance hall. Jellyfish, yeah. Look, I'm not going to knock anyone's project when it's quite evident how passionate and excited the designer is of the project. And I can say that safely based on just the sort of style and the sort of energy that's in this submission. But in the context of a competition with 623 entries and only 5 to be shortlisted, I don't think it will be shortlisted. And I think that comes down to, as exciting and energetic as the project is, I don't think it communicates its overall idea or vision for the project in just these 5 images. I mean, it communicates a vision for sure, but maybe not the vision that you necessarily want to be communicating. I don't know what I'm saying here. But for example, like the geometry and footprint of the site is sort of altered to create this triangular link bridge that houses these sort of cylindrical, shiny objects and a jellyfish in the middle. I think it's a cool, interesting project, but I don't have much more to say than that for now. So I'm going to move it along. This is called Revontulet. I don't know. Big pink alto vase with a big green alto vase with another big green alto vase. These images are nice though. But I don't really know what they're saying. They're just nice images. Sometimes that's okay. I mean, the interior and the exterior go well together. I just don't really know what the point is here. The design seamlessly merges solidity and transparency. Versatility is key. The museum provides a range of experiences from serene to vibrant. I need some details though. I feel like this project is sort of keeping me at arm's length. I can't really get into it. I know I'm in the lobby here, but I can't get into it. Like I need some diagram or a plan or something. It's okay. I just don't have an awful lot to say about it really. Fluid, undulating forms and a vibrant colour palette reflecting the aurora borealis. The curved glass facade layered with iridescent metal fabric provides a dramatic visual. This is going to be funny, okay? I don't know if this is going to make sense. I almost wish this project was described to me rather than sort of shown to me. I think there seems to be like a gap between what the architect is writing and saying, which all sounds really interesting, and then there's a gap between that and what's sort of being shown. And when I say gap, I just mean in terms of communicating the idea. Because when it's described and I read it, it sounds nice, but then when I see it, it feels a little bit flat and a bit underwhelming. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from it. I think a different style of drawing or image may have helped sort of push this project up a level for me personally. But it is what it is. Moving along. Saluja, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Now this is an example, I'm thinking of the building blocks project again. Like, this is just a little cluster of blocks, but then they, for some reason, thought they needed to add a skyscraper to it, which, fair enough. I mean, it's your project, but what I'm getting at is that concept is sort of, I think, from what I've seen so far, seems to be achievable with this footprint at this scale. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this project's done. It reminds me of it, that's all. Next one, interior. Looks kind of cool. 2 different types of timber here in the ceiling. That's a bit of a funky detail. This is a bit of a weird image, isn't it? Because it's strange. You've sort of got, it's like a 2-point perspective here. It's kind of rich in a way. It reminds me of the project, it was way back. I can't even remember what number it was now. So I'll leave it there, but the way that the space seems to be quite dynamic and flexible, and it's sort of like there's different views and different aspects from different positions, and they're all sort of generated by this structure in the ceiling, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to read that text because it's just too small, and I'm getting old. Yeah, really nice, playful little image. Again, yeah, I like this. But it's really just down to my own taste. I mean, I like little quirky, twisty, odd, kinky projects like this. They're just like all sort of angular and, projects that I look at and be like, oh, I'd like to draw that. I'd like to sketch that. Like, I'd like to visit that project and sketch it. And that's sort of how I feel about this project. It looks sort of spatially interesting. In other words, not a series of square rooms. And there's nothing wrong with square rooms. I've been very vocal about how I love a good square or a good box or a good rectangular room. But I don't know. Overall, it's not like my favorite project, but it's nice. Playful image, interesting interiors, cool images, diagrams. Love diagrams like this. This is fantastic. Well done. This is the type of stuff that I always like to see. Yeah, so continuation of the green zone in relation to the neighbouring development and expansion, reduction of height towards the sea. So all looks good. All looks good. So at least the reason that I like these images is because it's nice to see that at least the form factor of the project, or the form factor, the overall sort of form of the building is somewhat justified by the architect identifying something in the existing context. I think that's just sort of almost always the best way to generate form. In my opinion. So I like these diagrams because it allows the architects to really make their argument instead of just plopping something that looks like the alto vase on the site and just wanting me to either like it or not like it. Yes, I'm aware the projects aren't made for me. I'm just saying, when I say for me to like, I just mean for a person or an individual to kind of assess. Okay, so I am going to move it along, but I like this. I like this. Next project, wave. Seeing a bit of pink here, seeing a bit of concrete. Give me some marshmallow vibes here. Looks very fussy and complicated. And although the architect here with these diagrams looks like they're on top of it and they understand it, my biggest question just from looking at it is why? Why so messy? I still don't really know the answer. It's a lot. It's a lot of pieces. Okay, let's try this again. The primary concept is to create a building that accommodates people with diverse interests. It's a very diverse building for sure. It's just so much. It's just a lot of little bits and little rooms and shapes, and they all sort of come together, but then the images generally don't really sort of sell the interior or the exterior to me very well, just in my opinion. Like, it's fine, I guess. I don't know. I might have to come back to this one because I feel like this is the page that you really need to get into, and I just don't have the energy to sort of do it right now. So maybe that's what's working against it. But I'm glad that this page exists. Let's put it that way, because I'd be way more irritated if it was just, here's my project, work it out. That's for you. You put the time and effort in to explain it. So good for you. Next project, Blastoise. This is a big blasty boy. Look at this. Oh, blueprint. Communicating with the cityscape. Design concept draws inspiration from traditional Finnish building techniques and the modern Scandinavian masters of the 20th century. Timber and stone construction, central void and cores, natural timber shred. Shred. Timber and stone structure, central void and cores, natural timber shed. These sketches, 10 out of 10. This section, 10 out of 10. Awesome. Love this. And it has nothing to do with me being a sucker for the blue. It has nothing to do with that. It's really just about the composition logic. This to this. I'm like, yep, cool. Really cool idea. I like the entries that, you 5 pages. Page 1, you're like, oh, that's clear. And then page 2, you're like, yeah, no, it's completely clear. It's like, I don't need 3, 4, and 5, but I'm going to enjoy them anyway. So page 3, CGI. And don't worry, I'm going to get, there is criticism coming for this, but 4, CGI, 5, references. So really what I'm looking at here is, ultimately, I don't think I like the actual project that's here. From an architectural point of view, I just like the way in which the architecture is sort of explained in the use of the pages. Because what's here looks a bit dark and a bit gloomy. And this is a bit dark and a bit gloomy. And the reference images are nice. But really, the project to me is at its most exciting when it's in sort of sketch form. Maybe that's because when I look at it like this, I start thinking about what it could be. And then when I look at it like this, it's like the architect's telling me what it is. And that's fine, because it's their project. But I get excited here at this level, because I'm like, oh, this looks good, looks quite clear, looks quite fun, exciting. And just not enough sectional perspectives in this competition so far, so shout out for that. Amazing little drawing here. Well done. But overall, a lot of questions generally about what is here, but that could come down to the quality of the CGIs. And again, brings me back to what I always say. If the whole project was just sketches and traces over a model, I'd be way more into it, because it makes me sort of think that there's a lot of life left in the design of the project, you know? Like, oh, there's so much here. It makes the project somehow feel richer. It's almost like you're giving more by giving less in a weird way. I don't know if that makes sense. As for the name, Blastoise, I'm not sure if that's a Pokemon reference, but I'm going to assume that it is. Moving along. Musa. This looks a bit weird. When it comes to inspiration, the 9 mythical muses have been decidedly generous with the classical arts. Architecture and design are creative flows of thought, frozen at the right moment in time. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. Like, we're sort of looking at one facade here, but we're also looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4 different, 5, 6, 7 different treatments of that one sort of facade. Like, what is the point? Why would you sort of or remove this sort of volume from the volume? What is happening here on the roof? It's okay. I think this comes down to taste. It's not really my taste. It's okay, I guess. I mean, even looking at it from up here, I don't really know. Is that going to be a good space to be in the winter? I don't know. Interior quality of the image is nice. References are all cool. I just think it's down to personal taste. It's just not really for me. Sorry, Musa. Project looks fine. It's just not quite for me. Gonna move it along. What is this? The trunk-like modular design with skylights mimics Finland's dense forest, offering glimpses of sunlight and enhancing the journey-like experience. The building's geometry, as well as its modular roof openings, create a dynamic interplay of light and shadow. Silence, time, eternity. This looks cool. I'm going to look at it now in a second. But when I see it, I just sort of want to hit it with a stick, because it looks like a musical instrument. And it looks like it would just kind of be like ding, 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 like a xylophone. That's not a criticism. Just, it's kind of what I want to do. Right, these diagrams. Let's get into it. Okay, a lot of moves here. The museum shifts in multiple directions, connects diverse people, inspired by Finland's labyrinths of green, boreal forests. Okay, so step 1, identify site. Step 2, identify possible connections. Step 3, form shifting in response to site features. 4, form adjustment in response to program. 5, form manipulation to respond to surrounding geometry. 6, historical... No, am I lost? 6, core division separating public and private. 7, structure is lifted above cores, creating a universal space for a pluralist paradigm. 8, central courtyard. 9, further responses to museum logistics. 10, sustainable and modular response. 11, integrating an arcade. 12, strip subtraction through all floors. I can't speak for the architect here. Personally though, these types of pages, like I've already talked about, are fantastically useful. But I feel like this is somehow retrofitted to justify this. because I just don't think the progression makes all that much sense to me. But that's just me. This is my tiny little architecture brain. I just think you wanted this, and this has sort of been stitched together retroactively to justify it. But that's just what I think. This no sense of material here at all, which is a problem. I don't know how this works. This reminds me of the Heatherwick silo in a weird way, which is a cool project. I like that. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like you took a big swing, and I'm not saying you missed. I just don't know if I really like what's here. It's just very fussy in a lot of bits and pieces. But this is cool. I do think this is cool. It's just everything sort of after it I'm just a bit less convinced by. Don't like the blue glass. So sorry, I'm going to have to move it along. Next one. This looks cute and nice. In maritime terms, a luisto, I don't know if I'm saying that right, refers to a navigational beacon. Images are very washed out. I have to be honest, Loisto. This looks nice. There seems to be some really nice ideas for the articulation, or for the way in which the facade sort of works. Like, this looks really interesting. I don't know if I like the sort of inner part here, this inset. I feel like there's a lack of detail though with this submission. It just is sort of holding me back a little bit. And I really don't have much more to say about it than that, unfortunately. I think it's nice, I think it's good. I kind of need more. I'm looking for more, let's see. Like some diagrams or something. Sorry, Luisto, I'm going to have to move it along here on this one. But I think it's cool, I think it needs more. I need more. I need some more. I need some diagrams or some plans or something. I need some more detail, because everything just looks a bit sort of first stage almost. Maybe it's a question of development. I don't know. Not sure. Next one, under the clouds. That is a big canopy. Let's see how they're going to justify this. Big canopy boy under the clouds. Architectural space concept, tectonic concept. Why though? Why is it there? I don't know why it's there. It feels so extra. In the history of European cities, great buildings have been designated and integrated into a close relationship with public spaces. Why is the canopy here though? Come on. The large canopy will also establish the link. Come on, what? This 2,500 square meter square, covered by a canopy 18 meters high, will be able to host numerous events depending on the season, but you don't need the canopy to do that, in my opinion. Look, this section up here looks awesome. This is really cool. This section, really cool. I just find it weird, because the section suggests that this canopy is going to float, but it's not, because it's being held up by these little toothpicks. Like, if you include the space beneath the canopy as floor area of the project, 50% of your floor plan is just open space. I don't know. I mean, if we got rid of the canopy and we just looked at this looks kind of nice. Like, that looks like a little blocky, chunky block of building that looks pretty good. I don't know. It just feels a bit extra and unnecessary. Like, I see the projects here, the references and everything, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced under the clouds, I'm sorry. Although the quality of the presentation is good. Good images, good diagrams. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to prioritize its canopy too, show me a view of underneath it. Let's see what it's like. I don't know. Anyway, moving it along. Oh, no, that's it. Under the Clouds was the last one. Okay, so that's another 20 projects. Some good, some bad. I know I say that a lot. Please let me know what you think. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the video, all the usual things. Let me know what you think in the comments. And that's it for now. So all the best and see you soon.